What's going on, fam? Welcome back to the channel. This is a awesome review for you guys today. I'm very excited about this one. This one is the Adidas X CrazyFast.1 LL, which stands for laceless. It's the new laceless model. It's not the plus model, so it's a 0.1 and it's laceless. Here we go. Let's hop into the unboxing. Because it is now not the quote-unquote top-end model, this is just the laceless version of the 0.1, and they've added that plus model, that super lightweight, crazy fast version. This gets a normal recycled box from Adidas, which is pretty interesting. So this used to come in a drawer style box. It was really epic, looked really cool. That's now reserved for the plus model. So made in part with recycled materials, very basic gray Adidas box. We've seen this over and over and over again. This is the X CrazyFast 0.1 LL in firm ground. This is a 9 US and a UK 8.5. and a 27 centimeters and a 42 2/3. That's the way Adidas sizing works. Pretty straightforward. The materials we use, the ways we make, we're innovating to help protect our future. This is just the beginning. Very cool. All right, and nothing there, and just kind of trademark stuff on the back. Now let's hop into the unboxing. Here we go. Very keen to see what these look like. In the research that I've done, it sounds like they've improved a bit. Here we go. Okay, first of all, this colorway is dope as hell. Wow. Oh yeah, okay, cool, interesting. All right, so let's get a couple of these things out of, get that out of there. So this is a completely different construction than the previous generation. And I think these look way better. Like I know they're very similar looking to the previous generation, but I just think this little kind of, the way this knit has been constructed looks really dope, like with this little V, and just the silo kind of looks a little bit more futuristic in my opinion. And then you've got that Crazy Fast logoing on the side there, which is pretty sick. Yeah, I mean, these look dope. Also, this colorway with the crazy electric green, yellow up into the white looks fresh, like really, really good. The other crazy thing is you don't get any bag with this. There's no, look at that, it's empty. What the heck? So you don't get a bag with these new I want to say speed portals because they look so similar. These Crazy Fasts, which is insane. That's so insane. Okay, here we go. The Adidas X CrazyFast 0.1. During this video, I'll probably say the plus model. This is the 0.1 laceless LL. They are definitely different. They feel really different. The knit feels so premium compared to previous generation, in my opinion. It's way more like soft and stuff, which is pretty cool. The sole plate is the exact same, but let's hop into tech specs really quick. So the weight of, sorry for the squeaking, goodness, this chair. The weight of this football boot runs right between about 180 to 190 grams, depending on your size. In a 9 US, I believe it's about 185 grams, which is right around 6.5 ounce mark. So not crazy, crazy light. Obviously, the plus model is much lighter than this. I mean, much lighter. You're not really gonna notice that much of a difference, but it is lighter than this model. And, but 6.5 ounces is still decent for, especially for a laceless constructed football boot, which is awesome. This entire football boot, oddly enough, funny enough, crazy enough, impressively enough, is made from 50% recycled materials, which is awesome. Super, super cool. So this is a slightly different version of the Aeropacity Speedskin Plus upper, and it's called the Aeropacity Speedskin upper. So this is just slightly different. It's a little bit thicker. It's not as crazy thin, although it is still pretty crazy thin. I mean, this feels thinner than a Vapor, at least from a like a thinness standpoint. It is a little bit plasticky feeling, but it does, because of, I don't know whether it's because of this little texture on the toe and the front and the way that the weave, like this textile-based weave is, but it does feel less plasticky than the previous generation. And because of the way that internal cage sits on the inside, hopefully, there you go. So you can see kind of where my fingers run on the outside. You can see that internal cage there. That is the that is the aero cage for lockdown and stability. So there's an aero cage on the inside, very similar to that Plus model. This is just got a little bit more material and kind of, not durability, I guess, but like a little bit thicker on the upper, which is pretty cool. You also have prime knit through the top of this collar area, and then prime knit piece that runs through here that's connected via a little seam that on the inside actually feels pretty substantial. I would say that right there you can see like kind of where the seam hits with the Aeropacity Plus and then the prime knit. It does feel pretty substantial, that seam does, so hopefully that doesn't, there's no pressure points on the top of that football boot. The other thing that I'm interested by is it looks like they've reduced the padding on the heel liner. It is still a suede material, and you don't have those little stippling, like that little stippling material that you did have on the Plus model, the previous Speed Portal Plus. God, there's so many names. So the previous generation Speed Portal felt like it was a little thicker, although this is definitely not as nice feeling, or it's a little worrying how padded this is compared to even the Plus model, which is even more streamlined, that feels like, than this one. This one feels like just a kind of half upgrade from the Speed Portal with a nicer upper, and then they've kept most of the construction of the heel area and most of the construction through this, although I will say that the lack of this little, out cut makes the silo actually look way better in my opinion, which is cool. So then you also have the Speed Frame outsole with Aero Plate. So the Aero Plate is this is what I think I got wrong from a understanding perspective in my Plus model review. The yellow is the Speed Frame, and then you've got the Aero Plate, which is the golf ball looking plastic plate that's in there that adds the structure. From a structure and flexibility standpoint, this is one of, if not the most responsive and sort of energy return sole plates on the market. I would say that this is definitely up there with Vapor 15. This is definitely way above the Puma Ultra Ultimate. I haven't, since the recording of this video, I haven't had a chance to try the new ones yet, but this one is very much more responsive than the previous generation, or the one that I've reviewed before in that green colorway. But nice sole plate. I actually really like this one. Even though it doesn't have a carbon plate, it still is quite responsive. They did a nice job of transitioning materials, even though they didn't advertise it, which is kind of dumb in my opinion. This Aero Plate actually does do a good job of providing a really nice amount of snapback. And then in that 1 month review of the Plus model of the Speed Portal Pluses in that pink colorway, I did mention that although this sole plate isn't as quote unquote special as the one with the carbon fiber, I do think this does the job totally fine, and it is a really nice sole plate. It's gonna fit the majority of foot types. It's got a decently wide toe box and stuff, which is nice as well. And overall, I think this new boot definitely is a nice update to what we got on the Speed Portal, which in my opinion was sort of a lackluster update, and it definitely was a downgrade in my opinion from the Speed Flow Plus, which was debatably the best laceless boot ever made in my opinion, other than maybe Tequila. The only reason I say Tequila is because the Tequila fits my foot exceptionally well, and I think the lockdown of that boot is wild for a laceless football boot. But if we're talking most speed boots from a laceless perspective, it was definitely a downgrade. This one feels like an upgrade from those Speed Portals. It's much softer straight out of the box. It looks like it's gonna mold your foot much better. The Aero cage on the inside definitely feels like it's gonna give a better lockdown while also adding some stretch and flexibility to it, which is really nice. And for me, the silo just looks better. Maybe it's just this colorway, but I think the silo with the three stripes on both sides looks really cool. And I just think the way that they did the kind of, if you were to imagine a regular collar here with the traditional collar, instead of having a little V cut out right there like the previous generation did, it just goes all the way up flush with your ankle, which I think makes this boot look really cool. So from an aesthetic perspective, I'm a huge fan of this one. I also really like the colorway, so that's, maybe I'm biased there. But I am really excited about this upper. The upper does definitely feel much, much better and less plasticky and kind of gross than the other and stiff than the Speed Portal Plus and 0.1, to be fair. I'll review the regular laced version of the 0.1 probably. You'll see that review almost exact, like a couple days after this one probably. And then I'm gonna do a full comparison of this exact colorway of the laceless model, the regular 0.1 with laces, and then the Plus model. So you guys will see proper comparison between the three, and you'll get a sense, or hopefully get a sense of which one will suit you best. My guess is that the Plus model is gonna be very popular, even though it does run around the $300 mark, which is really expensive nowadays for football boots. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Maybe the top end boots like this one are $275, so it's only a $25 difference, but $300 plus tax is quite a bit, especially depending on where you live. So I'm very excited about this football boot. I think the Speed Portal Pluses were fine for me. I did try to put laces in the previous generation one, and that actually helped quite a bit. I am hoping for a fit with these that'll be really nice. I can wear grip socks in them and wear them for training and not have any issues. So far, the break-in period for the Plus model has been really nice. So without further ado, let's hop into the on-feet portion of the video and we'll go over how these fit and feel. Of course, what the sizing is like. Should you guys buy true to size, half size up, half size down, and we'll go from there. All right, fam, back here at the Rochester Stadium for the on-feet portion of the CrazyFast.1 in laceless. I am really excited to see how these fit and feel, especially given that the Speed Flow was really good. Speed Portal, even the laceless model, fit my foot decently well after some break-in time. I had an okay time in those. I thought those were pretty decent football boots. These look really nice and the upper looks amazing. So let's hop into this on-feet portion. What a nice looking pair of football boots. I think this colorway looks absolutely fantastic. It suits this football boot really nicely, and I do think this is gonna be a sick color to see on feet in the professional game. Definitely won't be wearing these in games just because I am not a laceless football boot guy for games, at least of yet. Haven't found one that I like so much, but we will get into them. All right, here we go. Getting the feet on. So immediately with putting my toe in already, I can tell that this upper is gonna be a little bit nicer, I reckon, than last gen. Oh yeah. Okay, so straight away, much softer it feels like than the previous generation. Similar to the Speed Portal, getting a little bit of tightness here, and then I'm getting a little bit of tightness here on the top where that seam is. I know I mentioned in the on-feet portion, or in the unboxing portion, excuse me, that I would hope that this seam right here wasn't that big of a deal, and I can definitely feel it. So I don't know how that's gonna be while playing, but it's definitely noticeable. But comfortable boots, to be honest. They're an interesting, they've redone the shape just a little bit so that toe area isn't as kind of grossly bulbous, if that makes sense. In the Speed Portal, you had a pretty thin midfoot and then a really wide kind of bulbous toe area, and my guess is that they trimmed down that toe area because it definitely feels a little less like voluminous up here. Not a bad thing, definitely, but yeah, it's there anyway. So for me, right out of the box, these are definitely pretty nice. They are the textile, this Aeropacity Speed Skin upper, much nicer than what we found on that textile-based material from the Speed Portal, in my opinion. I think these just fit better and they're way more barefoot feeling, to be honest. Like you can see me wiggle my toes. Like it's a lot thinner, especially here in this forefoot area. The one kind of complaint I have straight out of the box is that this seam right here, as I mentioned before, where this knit material comes down into that synthetic, there's a pretty decent sized, like whatever glue they're using or whatever seam they're using right here that goes all the way around, you can really feel that like on the top of your foot. I don't know how that's gonna affect the playing in these boots, but there's definitely a pretty solid feeling around in that area, which is honestly a little bit annoying straight out of the box. Maybe that'll go away as I break the boots in, but yeah, I mean, other than that, I think these boots fit a lot better just straight out of the box than the Speed Portal Pluses did. And I think these ones are definitely gonna be a welcome for a lot of those players who want that laceless football boot, but also don't want to have an upper that is super grossly stiff. So this is what they look like on feet. I think they look sick for sure. The arrow cage, I can definitely feel, well, we'll go arrow cage first. So the arrow cage on the inside, I can definitely feel. It does feel a little plasticky in certain parts of the boot. For my foot shape and what I typically like, there's definitely a little pressure point here where there's some extra material and the shape just hasn't quite gotten to where I need it to be yet. And then on the outside of the boot here in the midfoot area, there's a little bit of pinching. You can kind of see my foot bowing out of the shoe there, but that's just very typical for me. Sizing wise, 9 US is perfect. It looks like they've shaved kind of a tiny bit maybe of this length off, because in the Speed Portal I had a little bit more space than I do on these. These are perfect in a size 9, so definitely would recommend going true to size there. But as far as the fit and the comfort, I would say it is an improvement for sure over the Speed Portal, at least for my foot type. And I do have a little bit of a wider foot, especially in that midfoot. So if you're somebody who fit in the Speed Portal really well, but might have wanted something a little more snug, these will definitely give you that feeling, I think. The heel liner does feel less bulky on feet. Obviously with the hands, it didn't feel that much different from Speed Portal, but these ones definitely feel a little bit less bulky from just a feel perspective. And I imagine because it's now a fully suede without any of those little plastic dots or whatever that they had on the instep, these will definitely be nice for lockdown when you are moving side to side, and there's not going to be hopefully as much lateral slippage as there was for me in the Speed Portal Plus. Touch on the ball is definitely barefoot. If you're looking for one of the most barefoot raw sensations on feet, these are probably the CrazyFast is probably the line you want to go for. This gives me very similar vibes to, these are even thinner, but similar texture vibes to the Alpha in a lot of ways, where you have that the textile-based synthetic material with the internal support cage, and then you have that layer of sort of, I don't know what the material is, but like a kind of sticky matte material that allows you to sort of manipulate the ball in a way that just gives you a little bit of extra something on the ball, as opposed to, you know, being super slick. So the sole plate on this one is no different from the plastic carbon or the non-carbon Speed Portal Plus. It's the same sole plate. It feels really nice. You guys know that I actually like this sole plate quite a bit. I think it's totally adequate to play. It is pretty aggressive, so I feel it's fine to play on AG pitches. This is the same construction basically, obviously with the carbon, that I really enjoyed on the 99 leather boots. And so from a construction and a responsiveness standpoint, these are going to be very similar to those. And so I don't feel like I have had any issues with those boots or the second generation, I guess, of the non-carbon Speed Portal Pluses on this type of AG pitch. And of course on an FG pitch, these will be suitable totally fine. But as far as a laceless football boot goes, I do think this is an upgrade. I do think it's still not as good as what we got on the Speed Flow Plus. That being said, I think these are definitely a step above the Speed Portal by at least a step, if not a couple steps. The comfort of the upper, just the way that it wraps your foot, and just the way that they've kind of reduced a little bit of the bulk and stiffness of the upper, as well as given the heel area a little bit more of a comfortable feeling, is, I think, really nice from the Adidas brand. And this is definitely moving in the right direction, especially now that we have two different types of laced options for the majority of us who want a laced boot as opposed to a laceless boot. If you want a laceless boot though, this is a great option, especially if you're in the speed category and you're like, I really want a speed boot and I really want a laceless boot and I fit in most things. These will probably be really nice for you. Go true to size, and I think they'll be great. So the other cool thing is, because they now have 3 top-end speed boots with the CrazyFast Plus, CrazyFast.1, CrazyFast Laceless, these being the latter of those 3, it gives you options. So you have the speed boot with the regular U-throat tongue, you have the speed boot with the knit material if you want that and kind of that seamless sensation, and then you also have the laceless with the knit material, which is awesome. So I think more options. Yes, analysis by paralysis, you guys have heard that, you know, more options sometimes gives you anxiety to choose, whatever. But for me, it's like, you can kind of then choose which one you're in the mood for. So if, you know, this for the next 6 months you're in the mood for one and then those break and you want the other one, then it's great, and you'll get a similar feeling from those. I think these fit similarly, a little bit different obviously because of the laceless construction, but the upper does feel very similar to those super crazy light ones that I reviewed a couple weeks ago now. So that's gonna be it for this video. I am excited to test these out a little bit, make sure to get a 1 month review in them. They're definitely starting to stretch and feel a little more natural on my feet already, and it's only been, you know, 8 to 10 minutes now. So if you guys did enjoy that video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Do check out my website where I have in-season lifting programs for you guys that are footballer specific that I do every week, and we'll go from there. So as always, be awesome, take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.